everyone, my name is Amantlan Salah and I'd like to officially welcome you to the Active and Human podcast. Join me as I take you through a journey of storytelling that recognizes the disruptive impact that the Gen Z have made in the various spaces that they have plunged into. These will be moments where we appreciate impact, influence, and hard work. So sit down and stay tuned.
Miss Loago, the trailblazer. Like, there's just so much. I remember when you were doing the campaign video and you were introducing yourself. Like, this was the first time everyone in the room was smiling. And I know people thought we were laughing, but we were just so in awe because you literally said everything that defined you as an individual. So I'm going to give you a moment where you're going to give that, because I'm 100% sure that when people see the campaign video, they're going to play that part over and over again, because when you redid it, I was like, okay, yeah, you know. So I'm gonna give you time to introduce yourself to the audience in whatever way. But even if it takes 1 minute, have your spotlight, I won't even mind.
But okay, hi audience, I am Loago M. I am a trailblazer, I'm an empath, I'm spiritual, and I am a youth mental health and gender-based violence and rape advocate. I'm an entrepreneur. And yeah, I'm a student, obviously, and yeah, so that's me.
And I'm Amantlan, with no titles, nothing. But your topic for the day, I might have forgot it again, but like I know we're going to talk about racism, just a little bit of here and there, social media education, how all of that relates to beauty standards, right? The creation of beauty standards. But that's just a lot, man. There's just a lot going on there. We might have moments, but I don't want to start with that. Like, I just want us to just start with this over here. This is a beautiful pot of mine that has some few questions for you. You know, it's nothing hectic. Whenever I tell people that this is just, it's gentle. You know, it's just
really
calm down. They're always like, no, why do you pour them like that then? Like, why did you put them there if they were hard? But no, it's nothing hectic. I just want the audience to know you in a different side, you know. So obviously these questions are going to highlight certain things that maybe you've been hiding, whatever, but exposure is what we need, right?
Yeah.
So let me start with the first one. This is calm. If you had 3 wishes, what would you wish for?
Okay,
Please tell the truth.
This is something I always say, and you know, because you're putting me on the spot, I'm gonna just say one of my wishes is only money that I want. So I need the money.
No, because if you don't want money, what do you want? Do you even want to live if you don't want money?
Also, because if you look at it, money literally sponsors everything that you want to do for yourself. If you're saying you want to do community work, like I have a foundation, you need money. You want to run a business, you need money. You want to go to investors, you have to tell them that I've put this much into my company and this is how much I'm asking from you guys, you know, to further my dream or my vision or my goal for my business. So the thing about money is that it makes most things possible.
Definitely.
Like Drake says, dreams money can buy.
No, like honestly, as much as we don't want to say life is money, but it really is.
It is.
It really is. Like, you can't run away from it. Like, money makes motion.
Literally, you've seen the controversial topics on Facebook. What the hair relationship?
That one.
Does it need? And in my opinion, every relationship needs money. Like,
it does.
And let's not lie, guys. There's no one who doesn't want.
There's
no one who doesn't want better for themselves. Like, there's no one who absolutely does not want better for themselves. We all want to reach a certain goal in life. We all want freedom. We all want comfortability, and money gives you that. It really does. So that's one wish, but I feel like it sums up all other wishes.
Yeah, because like the other wishes are fulfilled by money.
By money. So just to sum it up.
I'm not gonna say anything because then, guys, you need money to make anything possible. You need money.
Yeah. Period.
Do you think that you are young at heart or an old soul?
Oh, I'm definitely an old soul. Like, guys, I can't even like play my playlist in public because I feel like everybody is just gonna be like, okay, you know, everyone wants you to be playing with like Lil Baby and your new piano genres and all of that. But the thing with me is that, okay, I listen to everything that I feel is nice. But for the most part, I'm always listening to R&B and soul.
Same!
Like,
literally me.
Literally.
No, like,
that is me. Even like when I need to calm down my nerves and I'm feeling like a certain type of way, that's what I go to. That's my go-to.
This morning I was actually listening to Keisha Cole.
Really?
Like this morning, I was like, okay, you know, just to start off, when I know that my day is going to be good and smooth, I'm just gonna start with like old school R&B and just
that is so
me. Feel it. Yeah,
that is so me.
But yeah, I also think I'm an old soul. Like I'm just not. I feel like I'm just not like Gen Z at heart.
Yeah, I'm also not Gen Z at heart. Also because I have like there's a 15 to 18 year difference between my older siblings and I. And so I grew up around older people.
You matured quickly.
So and also because of my childhood experiences, I had to mature quickly. And I also think like also majority of my friends are always like a year older than me and you know and more. And so I felt that has also contributed because when you're a year older, obviously you're a step ahead of the other person, you know, like there's a difference between someone being 16 and 18, 17 and 18, you know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, that's also what makes me an old soul because my environment has always been people who are already at a certain stage in their life. And I'm not saying like
that actually, I felt like at first I used to be like, yeah, you know, I'm way mature, you know, until I got to a position where a majority like of the people that I surrounded myself with were actually young. And it's like some of the things I couldn't relate to some of the conversations.
You were just there like, oh, jump scare.
Like someone would be like, okay, I just want to go to this party. I'm like, I want to be home by 7.
Like, I need to be home.
I need to be home.
Tired.
And not because my mom is this strict person or whatever, but like, y'all, I just want to get in like my bathtub, bath, just go to sleep or just read a book, just listen to jazz, just like feel at home. And people like,
girl, you're weird. Girl, like that is me also because I said like I experienced a lot in my childhood and my high school experiences. There was a wild year where I was like partying, going to almost every single event. I think those who know me would like know there was a stage in which Loago was like, she was the life of the party, you know. And then like I realized that to some extent it was to sort of like avoid certain emotions and feelings and experiences that I had experienced around that time. So when I come out of my shell now and like I've attacked or let me say confronted these experiences and these feelings and whatever, I outgrew that whole thing because now it's like,
because now you're looking for peace
now,
like
so
serenity.
Like I enjoy going out when it's like chill type of vibes, good music, good people, you know, but like born and raised, that's not me. I've gone past that stage.
Okay, so what's the last lie you told?
Guys, does it have to be like a petty lie or like a deep lie?
Tell us the deep ones. Why would we? This is the thing. Petty lies, we literally say them every second. Like it's like part of life, but deep ones.
I think it has to be how I felt about a certain guy.
It definitely has to be.
This is why like after that I realized that okay, no, I need to be alone because him and I started like this whatever it was, whatever we were in phase we were in. When I was at a point in my life that I just got out of a really painful heartbreak. And so I was just like, you know, men this, men that, you know, whatever. He came.
You know what? I'm gonna forget. We were in the bathroom with Tudu. And Tudu was like, oh, my boyfriend is going to pick me up. And then I remember I was like, that's so cute. And you're like,
Kera. I was like, Kera, I'm not there.
You literally just said, you know what?
I'm like, nope,
please,
I'm good, thanks. Like, we're not there. It's not that kind of party. So that's what it was for me. Like, he came and Shem, that man gave me princess treatment. It was gifts. It was dates. It was, you know, that I'll come pick you up, that I'll drop your... But... And I I caught feelings. I really caught feelings, but I constantly kept pushing him away. Like there was this wall in between us, and like I'd always downsize how I felt about the situation. And I think that's what played a role in us going our separate ways, because it was just like I was not ready to let someone in like that, because I just like, yo, guys.
Again, I think it just goes back to the fact that men will literally act like men will literally act like
girl,
they're so
I get
obsessed
you.
with you.
I
and
get
then once
you.
you're like, okay, this is
Let
my
me
person,
let my guy, and
they
then,
will show you.
You know,
yeah.
they
So
will
I
show
get you, bro.
So it was just like, you know, okay, so that's like a really deep lie that I had recently, that I downsized my feelings, and I guess on his end, he ended up feeling like to him I was treating him like just another guy who was, you know,
like you've been so nonchalant.
Yeah, like I was being ungrateful and
much.
nonchalant, but the whole time it was like, I feel so much for you that it scares me, you know? So yeah.
That's so bad.
But we move, it's life. I mean, it had to be that way so I could confront.
And to also just heal. You know, if you have like fear in your heart, it just means that you haven't healed properly.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna do
and
him
even
any
if you
justice.
had like been in a relationship, I felt like you probably would have been toxic to him as well.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like, I wouldn't have done him any justice.
Yeah. So, what are the top 3 ways you deal with stress?
Firstly, it's not a healthy habit, which is why I'm putting it first. I usually binge, eat, and watch Netflix. You know, so for someone like me who struggled with weight when I started like really suffering from depression, I'm now at a stage where I binge eat a lot. Like before, I would subconsciously starve myself. Like the day would end and I'd realize that, oh shit, I didn't eat. But then now it's different. And some, like even my therapist suggested that, okay, it's kind of a good thing, but also it's more about what you consume, you know? So that's why it's like, it's not really a healthy coping mechanism. And then secondly, it's my meditation and yoga. I've been doing that since I was 8. I think, 8. I was in grade 2. And, you know, everybody was like venturing into the sports and everything. And the only sport I was truly good at was swimming. And so I always felt left out when like I'd hear people talking about like running, your athletics. And I mean, we were kids, yes, but I still felt left out because everybody would be in this group or whatever. No, we're going for the inter-house, what?
When I felt one person who didn't care one thing about me, like honestly speaking, you'd literally spend an hour telling me how sports are so cool. You could even tell me that there were cute guys helping. I still look at you like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. However, I was in sports though. Like I was in netball and I did a bit of football.
Really?
I did football. And I know people think I'm lying. Like whenever I tell people that, actually, because this is the thing, I don't even have an interest in football. And many of my friends love football. They'll be like, oh, Man City this, Arsenal this. I'm like, okay. But I did play football and I was actually good at it.
Really?
I was.
Oh, I was horrible at pretty much every, like, okay, I think my biggest fear was a ball hitting me and like a tooth comes out or I fall and I trip.
I was good at football when I was in parks, because this is the thing. This is the thing. In Gabs, as the girlies were soft. You know, we don't want to play like that, you know. Like, don't do that, dog. We have a face to keep, you know. But in Michudi, y'all, I swear they were fighting those girls. I swear, when I went back to Michudi, like, because I transferred from Parks to the academy, so we would play with government, you know, schools. And yo, I remember this one time they came, it was the first game. Yo, those hands were big, yo. And I grew up like with a tiny body, you know, and they were big, they were strong.
So it was just...
They were ready to play the game. And I was like, I'm sorry, this is not my thing. So
yoga and meditation, we had this teacher. So she was into the whole, like, you know, meditation and yoga. So she had these after curriculars, and it was the only thing that I felt, okay, apart from swimming, this is what I can do. And then I went. And it really helped because I think from a young age, a really young age, I've suffered from anxiety. So I'd feel some type of way after these sessions for yoga that would have, because she'd teach you your breathing techniques and whatnot. And so I carry that with me throughout my childhood, even up till now. It's my routine, because I've tried gym, guys. I've tried gym, and nope, that is
I
not
don't ever wanna
like
do anything that takes energy from you.
during lockdown.
Yeah.
During lockdown, my brother-in-law, he's a personal trainer sometimes. So he had us doing like over 100 squats every morning, and I was like so beat after every session.
Yeah.
So I realized that for me, meditation and yoga are like the best things for me. Be it stress, anxiety, my depression, like even when you're struggling to sleep and you're just like laying on the bed, you can just like do the breathing techniques and they actually somewhat help, you know? So along with that, the last coping mechanism that I use when I'm under a lot of stress is that I journal. Like that also speaks
about that so many times.
Yes, that speaks to my gift of writing. Like I consider myself a writer, only that like some things I'm just not ready to share yet. But definitely journaling is also what came with meditation. So I've been journaling like since I was 8. So, yeah, because that's when I can properly say I learned how to write, you know.
And it never like aware of your feelings. So you can be like, okay, fine. I'm feeling this way. I need to do this to make me feel better. Yeah.
Also, because I wasn't really an expressive child in my childhood. When certain things started happening to me, I became more, you know, to myself, more reserved, and so journaling was my safe place, you know, like there was this journal that I'll keep with those little padlocks that they would come.
I remember that, like mini pink. I know
those ones. And like if I'm mad at my parents or my siblings or a friend, I'll just like journal. If I have a crush on a boy, I'll journal it, and that's somewhere in my boxes. And one day, guys, I will post like these journal entries so you guys could see. It's the funniest thing ever. It literally is. So so basically it's the unhealthy one, Netflix and binge eating. Then second is your yoga and your meditation. Then last is your journaling.
That's
which I do.
Pretty calm.
I do every single day without failure.
Because emotions don't stop.
Yes, emotions don't stop. And sometimes, you know, when you get into conflict with someone, sometimes you're not able to
fully express yourself
in the moment. And they're just those people that when they have conflict with you, they get very heated. And so in those moments, and I'm still trying to come out of my shell, but in those moments, I usually feel like that's not really the best time to come with how you feel. Just let them know that, you know, I acknowledge how you feel, and I might feel a certain way, but let's just table that for now. Let me collect my thoughts. You as well, I feel as though you should calm down, and then we can come back, revisit the conversation in a calmer scenery environment. So that's why journaling comes to me, because, you know, thoughts also just come quick. So you want to capture those thoughts. So when you reflect, it's like, okay, so I thought this way because I felt this way, you know, because sometimes your feelings cloud your thoughts,
your judgment,
you know, and your judgment. So it's just like, okay, journaling helps you revisit those thoughts and come from a different perspective to be like, okay, no, maybe I did come off insecure. Maybe I did, you know, but this is because this is how this person made me feel. It just helps you
track your emotions and just understand that, okay, was I really intentional about this?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
So, definitely that's...
Oh, I think this is just so you. I feel like, okay, if you were president, what's the first thing you would work to change in this country?
You know, it's funny you say this, because I remember even in high school, my teachers always used to say that I give off as someone who's either going to be a lawyer or a politician. And even when I started university, everyone when I say everyone, I literally mean it. People who didn't even know that my mom is a lawyer, like everyone would say, oh, you're studying law, right? And I'll be like, no, what makes you think I'm studying law? And they'll just be like, no, you just give off law vibes. And it's like,
you know what? Actually, to interrupt you, I feel like this is the same thing that I actually experienced. And when I look back at it, I feel like there are not many people who are self-aware.
Yeah.
There are not many people who are able to like put their minds and analyze a certain situation, especially if it doesn't somehow bring them into it. You know? And when they see people that are willing to just give that takeaway and something, they're like, oh, you should be a lawyer. No, please pay attention to what's happening around you.
Exactly, like don't go there. Why are you diverting the conversation? So yeah, I always had that. Like, so I even thought going into university, I might just, and I have a really huge interest in law. And also, okay, politics is like a 50-50 because sometimes I feel like, I think this goes to answer my question. Your question, sorry. I would change the way that we do politics in this country. Because I feel as though we claim that Botswana is a mixed economy, but I feel like we fall more onto the capitalism side. Because you have your government doing a lot of things as initiators. Like they say they will bring in investors for entrepreneurs. They say they will do this, they will do this. They don't give us room to be the initiators and then them just work towards being regulators towards those
like you
things.
guys are always in the sidelines waiting to see what is going to be done.
It's like the government must, the government, like no, let us do it. Let the people do it. So also to give them that sense of independence and initiative, so that the government can just work towards being facilitators, to regulate, to, you know, work towards that. And that, as a result,
I'm 100% sure people are like, how old is she? Because like the way you're saying, like you're just preaching.
Because now government is so focused on being initiators that they neglect the things that they do. Take, for example, your education system. If government wasn't so focused on doing so many of the other things, they would have focused more on the education side to bring a system that resonates with today's times.
And you know, the conversation about education is always there, only in January.
Yes. Every time
January, February,
BG versus IG, BG versus IG, you know what I'm saying?
And then the rest of the year, what did you make?
Exactly. So it's like the environment in public schools is not conducive, in my personal opinion. It's genuinely not conducive. And we want to blame kids and say, hey, disrupting, but also we're kids at the end of the day. It all goes to say what is the root cause of it. Yes, we agree that, yes, some come from families that, you know, it's not a conducive environment, but throughout your primary school and your high school, you spend 90% of your time at school. That is your main environment. And at school...
So the problem is there.
Yeah, so like... At school, we always, our teachers always used to say, when you're at school, we're your parents. And literally now, when I reflect back on it, that is so true. Because you spend 90% of your time at school, from morning up until half 4 to do your chores to do. So yes, there may be the issues that are there at home and stuff, but at school is where now like 90% of your learning, 90% of how you interact with your peers is what contributes to who you become. And so if the environment is not preconditioned for you to flourish, then you're most likely to fail. Like, if we're being honest.
I mean, it goes back to the code. I don't know if it's a code we're saying, whether we're saying that if a flower is in an environment and it dies, the first thing you check has to be the soil.
My point exactly. My point exactly. So now if you want to bring in your genetics and whatever, that's a whole different debate and stuff. But if you come to look at it, it's like the reason why education system for one is failing. Government services, go and apply go land board. You have to wait 30 years just to get land, whilst you have your entrepreneurs and who claim Botswana citizenship but are not actually Botswana, who are buying so much land in very short time because you allow them. You're saying money first and then other people later. So just because you're giving me free land, it's like I have to wait 30 years for that. And just because someone is paying for the land up front, you're like money first, because that is what will contribute to the government having money to do these and these projects. So it just goes to say that in actual fact the country is a capitalist, because now we're looking at profit, we're looking at income, we're looking at revenue before we look at making things affordable for all peoples, making things accessible for all peoples. And so it's just like, in actual fact, you're not a mixed economy. You fall more onto the capitalist side. Yeah.
This question, I actually find it very weird because, I don't know, we've had so many conversations about friendships.
Girl, don't put me on the spot.
They can be so traumatizing.
Don't put me on the spot.
But who was your, this is actually calm, you know, who was your first friend and are they still in your life?
Shame, hey? So I have two childhood friends. One I met when I started preschool. Well, I didn't go to kindergarten, but I started at Rainbow. So there's the preschool reception. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. And then there's your standard 1 up to 7, then from 1 up to... So yeah, I have a friend. Her name was Rethabile. Why am I saying was? Is Rethabile. Yeah. And then I had another one who was a friend that we met through our moms, because our moms were best friends at the time. Her name is Sasame. So yeah, both of them are still very much, we were in contact. However, like, was obviously like the best friend title, you know, you guys go your separate ways and whatever. But I hold them very close to my heart, hey? Like those other friends that obviously, because they're coming from my childhood, that is like, you know, I still hold them, and also because we didn't, That
was probably the purest form of love, you know, before,
And then there's obviously my now best friend who came through the friendship squad and whatever, and she's the one friend that made it through all like those friendship stages and phases and squads and whatever. Her name is Tapiwa. So yeah, I still hold these very three people very close to my heart. You know, my best friend is still in my life. She's my confidant. Like, she's literally the one person that I go to for every single thing. And like, she just can't know. She can't know, like, she can't not know anything that's happening in my life. You know, like, she has to be in the know. Like, but the crazy part is, we can go like a month without talking,
and then,
but when you come back, it's like
you were talking yesterday, so you're like,
I need to tell her
conversation.
Everything, you know. So that's just So those are the three people that, yo, guys, I am 10 toes down and 10 fingers down for them, because they have held it down throughout. Like, I think even till this day that people I can still say I rely on, you know, because wow, they're just purest forms of friendship. Right? Yes, everything. Shout out to them. Shout out to them.
Well, I think with me, I actually have, with me, like, all my friends are from my childhood, because there's Pearl, like, I met her when I was at preschool. And then there's Tluto, I met him, like, I think I was 3 years old.
Really?
Tluto's actually so cute. I'm going to talk about them, but all my friends, I value all my friends. My current group of friends are people that I genuinely value, because it's like, we're just so in sync with each other. But, like, I think the cuter one, like, the cutest story is with Tluto, because I met him when, I think my mom and my dad had moved from Janning then, and then we started going to this church, Seventh-day Adventist church, and then I met him there. I think I was like 3, 4 years, 3, 4, 5, somewhere there, but I was young. And then there was this time when, you know, the elders were in church and stuff, and then these older kids brought us together to get married behind the church. And like, I think when we grew up, in primary, it was always so weird because we remember the moment when we're getting married and we're babies, so it was always awkward. But now that we're grown ups and we just look at how we've come together as friends, are like, this wasn't like immersion in terms of you guys are going to love each other, like you guys are going to be romantic with each other. It was just like God somehow bringing us together to say, okay, fine. Like I like hold him so close to my heart. Like he's like my sibling, you know. It's like
the brother,
exactly. Like I know that if it's 12 a.m. and I'm just feeling so confused, I can call him. You know what I'm saying? And it's like a relationship that even my mom knows that, okay, Amantla has a friend called Tlotlo. If Tlotlo can call at 1 a.m., you know, it's completely fine. It's understandable. So I think that's the.
And I think in life, I mean, sure, not everybody is going to like you, but it's those friends that you really need to keep dearest to your heart, because it's not the same as family. With friends, it's like a whole different thing, and like your wall is completely down.
Like with friends, they also know all your different sides.
Yes.
Like they'll know that school you is like this, home you is like this. They just not like your comfort zone. You can be anyone you want to be around them.
So true.
But yeah, those were, they weren't that hectic. I mean, you answered all of them, and I think you're calm.
Not too bad, y'all.
Yeah, so
not too bad.
Our main conversation is about beauty standards, but obviously I think we're going to sync it with body standards as well. Yeah. This is something that I feel like everyone has always wanted to talk about, especially young girls, because it's like the pressure is different with every
getting worse
institution that you go to. Like you get to primary and girls with big foreheads are the thing. You get to high school, girls who are tall are the thing. You know, like you're constantly having to find a way to like low-key change yourself so that people can also recognize you as having to, you know, be beautiful in that, you know, perspective. But one thing people don't really like acknowledging is how it all started. You know. So our topic is from racism to education to social media, the creation of beauty and body standards, right? So we're going to talk about from racism. I don't know, you're never online, but on my status, I remember I put up this other story about the South African lady who was taken from SA, I think, to the US, and then her body, because she had like a bigger behind. Yes, she had a bigger behind, and then she was used to, you know, she was just treated so horribly. So from there on, that was like an act of racism, you know, but also in that moment where they were like sort of like giving her a situation where they didn't rate her like that, they were also creating this image for younger black people that, okay, she's, as much as she's black and they're using her in any way possible, they consider her to be beautiful, you know. So that mentality, even though it was not acknowledged, it was there, you know, but we just didn't like highlight it. Exactly. Subconsciously, we were like, okay, they're treating her horribly, but is that what men or people or society define as beauty? And I think that's how it started, right? So what's your like perception on that?
Like history and racism towards beauty standards. Okay. I think in the United States especially, like you say the story of Sarah Bartman, however you pronounce it, it just goes to say how much as black women throughout the struggle as black people, we were objectified for the most part of it. Because obviously you'd have a family, a black family on a farm, and then the woman is taken to satisfy the man while the husband is enslaved to work on the farms and stuff. And that's literally how it was throughout history. And even till this day, in some ways, we're still objectified as women, but now, okay, it's different because yes, we have your interracial, you know, experiences,
and women are trying to speak up against it,
you know. But it really goes back to history, because now it's like from the beginning as black women, especially African, we were constantly objectified. There's a story of how Rosa Parks actually really got into the civil rights, you know, being known as the mother of civil rights activism, you know what I'm saying? So there was a woman of Racy Taylor. I don't know if you've ever read of that story, but she was coming from church at midnight with a friend, and I think it was the son or something. And 6 men in a car were passing by them walking the first time, and then she noticed them because they were like driving oddly slow, like, you know, somebody's about to catcall you when that car is slowing down, you know. And then they passed the second time, but this time they stopped. They stopped, got out of the car, and they told her, get inside. And they claimed that her boss, because they knew who she was working for at the time, I think as a helper, you know, she was like, we're here to pick you up, your boss needs you at the house and whatever. And so then she got in. When she got in, these 6 men, obviously now like they're making remarks and comments. And then she eventually says to them, she's like, you know what, you guys are actually not taking me where you claim to say you're taking me, are you? And that's when they stopped the car, and then they all gang raped her. Like, they took turns with her and whatever. And that's where it started, because they told her, we would come and kill your family if you said anything about this to anyone. And she didn't listen. We thank God for that. She took the case to police, but the judge at the time who was handling the case didn't do much. I think he charged them with a fine, and that was it. You know, but the Sarah Baartman story also, it's the same thing. They took her, put her in a museum, if I'm not wrong, and these men would come and
they
see
took her to different countries,
and they would take her to different countries. They objectified her. They made her come off as this beauty standard, that this is what we see as beauty, and they didn't see her as anything more than that. They looked at her body, and it was like, you know, this body was something to sexualize,
like,
and
they didn't even see her as a human.
She was an object
to appreciate,
and they sexualized her, you know. And it speaks to many of the struggles, because she went through rape, she went through objectifying and the sexualization of, you know. But then you look at it and how it has evolved into today's standards. That beauty standards now, it's not just the contribution of men anymore. Society as a whole. I mean, growing up in primary school, it's like girls who were of a darker skin were constantly bullied, and not just by the boys,
even the girls,
you know. And at some point, even I was part of the bullying, because it was like, oh, she's dark, she can't hang with us, type of thing, you know. And you look back, and it's not a proud moment. It's really not a proud moment, because now you look back and you're just like, oh my gosh, I really put someone's child through all of that, you know. So it's like racism and society, not or, but and society's contribution towards beauty standards is now women become objectified even still in this day, you know, because there's, even in social media, there's still a standard as to how your pretty girls, like, look at the trends. Actually look at the trends. Like on Facebook, there's always that debate about your light skin and dark skin honeys. And the thing is, a lot of people will say, oh no, it's just jokes, but
it's not
really, when you think about it. There are men, there are women, there's society that looks at people a certain way because of how they look.
And you know what's really bad about this whole light skin versus dark skin thing? It's now going into babies. Like someone will post a picture of a black baby. Like a dark skinned baby, and then a white baby or a light skinned baby. And they'll be like, I want this baby, not this baby. And it's like already a baby's given like that narrative that, oh, for you. I actually used to have that when I was younger. I used to have this narrative that, oh my God, because my mom is light skinned, right?
Yeah.
And I always used to ask, Kante, why am I not light skinned? As much as I wasn't like dark skinned, I was like, you know what? I really wish I was light skinned. I was like you, because I felt like at any moment, if I turned darker than my skin tone, I was going to be part of that group of people that were always bullied. And also on top of the fact that women are just always objectified. I remember I was having a conversation with Bridget, and she did this amazing speech at some opening ceremony, and she was just so prepared, and she said so many things that could have been impressive to the crowd. And she came back, and I was asking her, how was it, all of that? And she's like, yeah, it was fun, but I was just taken off by the fact that there were journalists there, right?
Yeah.
They could have asked her, how did you come up with the speech? What made you think about this? But, asked her about her career or her intelligence. And she was like, Amantle, one journalist literally asked me about my dress and then asked me if I'm interested in boys. Like, I did so much over here. I represented women. I represented my younger generation. I spoke on conversations that we as a younger generation are never given a platform to speak on. But this guy kind of like made me feel so small and so insignificant that he questioned how I dress or whether I'm interested in men. I'm 19 years old. I'm about to like get my degree, and he's asking me about guys or like my dress.
Just like you're saying, on his end, he's wrong for that, very much wrong. Like, that is no debate. But it also adds on to the fact that even career-wise, you're a journalist, your newspapers, it's most likely, like, there's that one newspaper, they know, or 10 to page 6, for example. The girlies are there in bikinis and what, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, even your conversations on newspapers, you gain more traction when it's your basic conversations about beauty standards, when it's your basic conversations about hair, who wore the dress better, who looks better, light skin versus dark skin, all of this, all of that, you know what I'm saying? And the conversations are so shallow and mediocre that it's hardly ever about who that person is, their intelligence, or their, what their opinions on what they exactly, So I just genuinely feel like, as a society, we let
we need to look into that.
We need to self-retrospect, because now when the conversations are brought up, it's always like, oh, men this, men that, men this, men that. Men are the ones who are doing this, but it's actually society as a whole. You go to your family gatherings, it's your aunt who's gonna come to you and be like, oh, bopa me gore.
Exactly.
That's your aunt saying that. And then your uncle is coming, those comments. And it's like both the men and the women are doing this, are contributing to this. And as a society, we need to retrospect as a whole, and not so much as to run to put the blame on the other gender or put the blame on...
We just need to take accountability as a community.
Take accountability as a community for your part or your role into letting such situations go on for so long,
Yeah. I think we talked about like history and racism, but I feel like one thing that also needs to be brought up is how maybe the fact that our history is lacking and our educational system made it look like we as black people are also, or black women are somehow insignificant. I mean, right now, our generation is so informed, like our generation likes to research, get to know about certain things. Like, I think our generation acknowledges informed people, you know what I'm saying? So now that at school we don't, learn about Sarah, we don't learn about how she was objectified, but we see it on social media. So it means that had we been taught this in your Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, that this is her story, this is what you went through, then you realize that, okay, here's the thing. As a woman, I need to just be like, realize the type of environments that I felt like we would have maybe put an eye into it and probably found an effective way to bring up these conversations much more sooner and also not fall, I don't know, fall for these beauty standards and just realize that, you know what, as a generation, this happened before, we're not going to let it repeat. But because we're never aware of how it all started or how we were affected in this, we just never gave it a thought. You know what I'm saying?
I remember my history lessons, my social studies lessons. It was more about, Homo sapiens and the evolution of humans. It was more about, hey, Botswana land to Botswana, the map. It was never about how women were objectified, how women... And yes, you can argue that we're still too young to be introduced to those conversations, but truth is we're not.
Why not?
Because the world doesn't wait for at what age you start
like
to learn about these things. Like a 9-year-old in the States is being affected by racism, you know. A 9-year-old is being objectified in the streets. A 9-year-old is being sexualized. A 9-year-old is being judged according to her complexion, his or her complexion, you know, because it also doesn't just apply to women, but also to men to say, oh, a 9-year-old dark-skinned guy, askanyala mwana msetsana muntu because bana ba bona ba hona bantu.
And these are conversations that are weirdly had in the comments and the texts. You literally hear that.
Like, who says that? You know, it's those kind of conversations that go on regardless of whether you've been introduced to them at school or not. So it's like in the education system, it's diluted. And then when it actually comes to the stories out there, you learn about your Rosa Parks, you learn about your L. Johnsons, Sirleaf, you learn about your Nelson Mandelas. The way Nelson Mandela is introduced during history and the way you actually read the stories about how tense and how painful he went through the whole apartheid issues.
And you know what? You get the real journey and role from the black authors.
From the black authors.
But from the syllabus, it's like it's cut short and it's just made a bit mediocre.
Touch and go.
Exactly. Like, he led this movement, he did this. But from the authors, that's when you read about his speech that he said this, he did this, he did this.
He went through this, he was beaten, he was this. Like, that's where you actually learn about these things. And it's like, we're already preconditioned to dilute our history, to dilute the suffering, the pain of the Zulus, of the blacks, of the Africans, of the African Americans. And, you know, so we downsize it, and only when you gain a sort of interest into the black history is when you realize how painful it actually was for our forefathers to get, to create a path for us to get to where we are today.
You know, like with relation to how our history is, especially in Botswana, when you tell the story about how our forefathers went up, it's like, kinda they didn't do anything. You know, they just went to beg the queen, you know. But if we were to have more authors here at Botswana to give that experience in writing, to say it was not just about standing up, it was about having the thoughts that these are my people. They are suffering. It was a thought that would I even come back to my family, because if these people were able to colonize a whole entire nation, what are they going to do to me? It was also about putting away my interest as a human being, putting away what I could benefit, what I could lose, and just look at what could be accomplished.
Also at a time where there was so much going on, like we had your apartheid at the time. We gained independence so many years before South Africa, which is literally next door to us. You want to ask yourself that even the colonization that happened, it happened to us so peacefully. Like, okay, I think people did die to some extent, but
we wouldn't know again because we are not taught about it.
We are not taught about it. But the way Botswana was colonized and then gained independence is such a mystery. Like, it's such a mystery. It's like a forbidden fruit because it's like, how did they manage to do it
like
so
there's just
peacefully?
something that's
like
not being said.
It's not
and
adding
it's also,
up.
it goes back to
It's
how
not adding
the
up.
Western countries find it so easy to be like, Botswana is such a peaceful country.
country.
What? Okay, I get it. We're also peaceful. Like, we have less, you know, fights and all of that. But I want to know, how did they know that? Like, how did
they know
how do you know we're peaceful? Like, what
how did they
we
know
do
that? But you don't even know where Botswana is on the map.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
Like, how do you find us peaceful? Like, what's going on? It's like there's so much missing from our education about our history.
About our own history.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like the three chiefs, they went and asked for protection.
Yeah.
So we got protection from the British Protectorate, what. But it's like, what exactly was said in the meetings?
Like, what happened?
And there's
how
even
did the meeting even, like,
exactly. There are even conspiracy theories that, like, it never actually happened. They never actually went. And it's like, who knows at this point? Because there's so much in our history that was not taught to us even till this day, you know. And there's also somewhat ignorance to it, because it's just like, Botswana, you know, we move and that's it.
Yeah.
You know?
So we've touched on education, I guess now it's social media. You know, social media, one of the most powerful and dangerous tools like in this age is social media. I mean, social media, you get education. Social media, you get like, you can get a job, you get influence, you get power from social media, you can get access to money through social media. So it's like, it has so much influence in also the way we live our lives, you know. So for women, social media is a different world. Social media means competition. Social media means going back to look at yourself, like, am I worthy to post myself? Do I need to face the sun so that I appear lighter? Do I need to buy makeup so that I show that I'm also good at this? Do I need to wear bikini so that I get more likes? Social media is something that has greatly impacted women's mental health, and also because people on social media, and I'm saying people because we're always saying men are the ones who are always, you know, judging, but it's actually people. Like, you could find a lady who's wearing a jean and just a sneakers, and she'd post a picture, you know, and a woman would be like, Ma, you know what I'm saying? Like, people find it so easy to comment on people's body, but oh, yeah, like this and all that. Exactly. People find it easy to bring up these conversations about how because they saw that on social media. Social media creates the conception that you can say anything to anyone and it could be accepted.
You know, it's funny because I saw this quote the other day where it's like, the problem is at school, the idiots were put into one class and the smart people were put into, then social media, everyone is just like into one whole space and everybody's just like being, you know. I think with social media, it goes to say that too much of everything is not healthy for you, because I think as a society, the world now has shifted so much into social media that too much consumption of it is now unhealthy. Your relationship standards, most people are getting them from social media.
Defined by
by Valentine's Day. There by Valentine's Day, when the girlies are being bought your Range Rovers, your hotels, you feel like my man needs to do the
same. He
needs
to step up and buy me a Range Rover. I don't even look at the fact that, what about his job? Can it give him the money that can buy you a Range Rover?
The financial, you know, freedom to be able, or the financial luxury to be able to do those things for you. And also, I just feel like social media is just like a fragment of the actual reality of life. I mean, nobody's posting their problems. I know people always say this, that nobody's posting our problems, so why are we so focused on social media? But the thing is, a lot of people don't actually take that statement to heart. December, a lot of people were traveling to your Cape Towns, your Zanzibar, your Tanzania, your Namibia, the Swakopmund, all of that, you know. And there were even like these situations where apparently people were running away from hotels and bars without having paid for their bills and everything. And it's just like the pressure, you know, you feel so pressured to go clubbing that you're doing it on credit. You feel so pressured to go on your trips and whatever, because social media has you feeling like you need to be traveling by 18, by 19, by 20. You need to be taken out by your boyfriend as a girly, posting in your bikini and whatever by this certain age or whatever. Because of social media, you know, there by Sunday, you know, the girlies will come in full force with your face beats and whatever, and so you feel so pressured.
And at the end of the day, like, the question is that how you really want to live your life?
You know? And, you know, it's not a bad thing. Wanting to learn how to do your makeup, wanting to look good is not a bad thing.
Just do it for you.
Like, taking care of yourself is not a bad thing at all. I just feel like it becomes a problem now when it's centered around wanting to get the social media gaze upon you, the attention upon you, and wanting to create a somewhat what can
like
I put
image,
it? A somewhat image towards your life, so that people can give you certain things or treat you a certain type of way, you know? I mean, I'm not saying post your problems, you know, because hey, people
just try to live an authentic life.
Yes,
for
try
you,
your
because
best
I
to
feel like,
live
again,
an
that's where
authentic
mental health
life.
issues come
Exactly.
from. You know, you're
Your
always
mental-
being someone else when you neglect the real you. Thank you so much once again for being here. I'm 100% sure that
really happy
the audience felt
to
you.
have
They
been
definitely
here.
understood what you were saying. If we had time, we would have extended this to about 3 hours, because there's more to be unpacked.
So much to
but
say.
yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your continuous support.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really grateful for this opportunity. This is actually my first interview at like this age, and like we're more self-aware, and
what can I
you know,
say?
so yeah.
So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.